All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to my stream. Today's Monday. Let's get this thing started, shall we? So if you're new here, welcome. Let me explain to you how this works. First thing that I'm going to do, sorry, I'm running behind. I apologize for that, you guys. I'm running behind today. Yeah, I know. Hey, Kai. Let me say hi, everyone. Savi, good to see you. I see a question there. Yeah, I know. Kai. All right. Cool. I'm going to get to your chat here in a moment. I just saw all these. Sorry, I'm running behind. Alex from Romania. You know, I have to say that if I see his name. Romania. Anyway, all right, you guys. So, real quick, you guys know, first thing I'm going to do is run through the economic calendar. Then we're going to go over these charts. Yes, there are a lot of things going on over here, a lot of wild things. So we'll get into that. All right. And then if you have any questions about any stocks, coins, or anything else, put them in the chat. And also, if you have a question about a stock or a coin or whatever, a currency, put long or short. Let me know what you're thinking. You know, like long Euro USD or whatever, long gold or whatever. So I know I have some perspective as to like what you're thinking. All right. All right, cool. So with that said, let's get going. First thing, economic calendar. Now, you know, we have this situation where non-farm payrolls has been delayed. I don't know, you know, about the other reports if they're going to be delayed or not. But this week we have the FOMC meeting minutes. I don't think that will be delayed, but I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not sure if that's like a government agency that releases that. If it is, then maybe it's delayed. I don't know. Okay. Uh, Alex yells back, New Jersey. No, you have to say USA because Romania is a country. New Jersey is not a country, although it probably should be. It should be another country, but it's not. So anyway, but thanks for yelling back. So yeah, we have the FOMC meeting minutes, and there's a bunch of I saw a bunch of things like tomorrow we have New Bank of New Zealand. They have their rate announcement, but I'm going to skip all that because those are not usually market moving events, right? So FOMC meeting minutes could possibly be an event if there's any type of surprise, although it's the meeting minutes. So there really shouldn't be any surprises, but there could be some type of jump. It's good to be aware of it. I believe that's 2 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. Now, also on Wednesday, I saw on the calendar that Chairman Powell is speaking. I don't know what time he's speaking, but that's what I saw on the calendar. So that's definitely worth noting. And I guess he's an essential worker for the. Actually, is he a government worker? I guess he is. And he will be speaking. Okay, so you definitely want to be aware of that, and check the timestamp on that, and even watch his speech if it's streamed somewhere. It's a good idea to just watch to see what he has to say. All right, but he can move markets, as we know. So that's the next important event. And then after that, all I saw on the calendar that was worth mentioning is the Michigan Consumer Sentiment, which is on Friday. I believe that's a 10 a.m. number, 10 a.m. Eastern time. You want to double check those timestamps, but that number has moved markets previously. So you just want to be aware of it, okay? Michigan Consumer Sentiment. If there are any surprises in there, especially going into the holidays, we're going to some major consumer holidays here, that might be worth paying attention to, okay? Jay certainly doesn't need his government salary. Yeah, I know. I know. The guys they're like the richest Fed governor or the richest whatever. You know, yeah. Anyway, he probably doesn't really feel the inflation. Rich people don't. So anyway, all right. So that's pretty much it on the economic calendar, right? Anything worth mentioning? There are a bunch of other things I saw on the calendar, but not worth mentioning. All right, now let's get into the chart. So I saw Alex here has a long plug. Okay, cool. I see that, Alex. So let me just, before I get into the chart, I want to run something by you guys real quick, just to see what you think. I like to, I'd rather run this idea in front of a few people than no one at all. I love to get feedback, okay? Be honest with me. If you guys think this is a dumb idea, or if you think it's just whatever, let me know. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm not going to feel bad. This is why I ask, right? This is why I want to put it out there and see what you guys have to say. If you're watching me on Twitter or whatever and you can't chime in on the chat here, then feel free to send me an email at mark@markpmarkets.com. I'd be happy to see what people have to say. But here's what I was thinking. Just as as a way to be able to help people on a one-on-one basis, I was looking at this app called Calendly. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. And on there, I can basically, people can schedule one-on-one meetings with me. And I was thinking about doing this though, like where I can help you specifically with your strategy or whatever else you want to talk about that's relevant to the markets. I can basically give you one-on-one coaching, and it can be scheduled, through Calendly, of course, for a fee. But I was thinking about doing like 1 hour slots and like 90-minute slots. I saw someone else doing this. That's where I got the idea. And but he's not doing market stuff. He's doing career consulting. So if you have a question about career, or you want to know if your resume is good enough, blah blah blah, you schedule some time with him. He gets like $230 an hour or something like that. He gets that was not no that was a half hour. I'm sorry, half hour, and he gets like three something an hour. I was not going to charge those prices, but I'm just curious. What do you guys think of that? Like, if I put something like that out there, do you think that's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? I'm just curious to know what you guys think. And again, if you don't have something nice to say, that's okay. Like I'm like I want to hear negative feedback. I'm okay with that. I'm not one of those types that like a comment that doesn't go my way hurts my feelings. Like I'm not one of those types. So I just like to hear what your thoughts are. Okay. I mean, because Christos, okay. I mean, the prices that I was thinking of, like, see, a half hour time slot, what are we going to talk about in 30 minutes relative to the markets? Markets can be a complex topic, especially if someone wants to talk about option strategies, iron condors, other types of strategies, right? Whatever. That's going to be more than a 30-minute conversation. So I figure 1 hour and 90 minutes. I'm thinking 1 hour, I'm thinking like $125 for the hour, and I'm thinking $200 for 90 minutes. I don't know. So, I mean, I don't see anything negative here. I'm thinking about just trying it out and seeing like what kind of, if I get nothing out of it, it's okay. It's not like Calendly costs $1 billion or anything. I can just do like a free trial on there, or even try it out for a month and then cancel it. So it's no big deal. I just wanted to run it by someone rather than no one, and just see if you guys had anything negative to say. Really? So okay, cool. Anyway, that's what I was thinking. So so probably next week I'll have that up and running. I'll have like a link, and if anyone's interested in booking some time with me, then you'll have that possibility. All right, enough of that. So okay, cool, Savi. I'm glad to hear that. Savi, I'm just curious. You go to that CMT thing on Saturday? I could. Saturday is not a good day for me, man. I couldn't go. I was wondering if you want. I was thinking about you. I was like, oh man, I hope Savi doesn't go to that thing, because I'm not going. And I know we had never talked about it, and I never said I was going. But Saturday is just like, I don't know why they do an event on Saturday. I guess it's convenient for other people. I can't. Going into the city and coming back especially is very cumbersome for me on a Saturday because of the way the things run around here. So anyway, hopefully oh, cool. Okay, I'm glad. All right. Me neither. Okay, so let's talk about Bitcoin, man. We got a lot of things to talk about, and thank you guys for the feedback. Thank you all for the feedback there on the Calendly thing. All right, so let's talk about Bitcoin. There's a lot of things to talk about here. Things are wild. So I wrote my analysis yesterday on Bitcoin, and we were getting the pin bar. That's what this arrow on my chart is. Okay, I was pointing to the pin bar. Well, that pin bar got eaten up. That's pretty bullish. Okay, the pin bar actually never even went into effect. The pin bar low was over here, right? We never even touched it. That was the pin bar low right there. We never even went below that. What was that price? 122, 195. So you could round that to 122 even. We never even went back there. So this is strong, right? For whatever reason, this thing is strong. Now, I suspect with a sustained move like this. I mean, you could see my illustration here. We never got this pullback. Now, we still may pull back, but this is a tricky market to play. We are basically in failed high territory. This thing can easily still fake out. We just have no evidence of that yet. So you have to look at this. This is hard to look at when people are anxious. You know, you may be anxious, so I'm missing out. You may feel like you're missing out in this and that, and you're watching a move that just keeps going and going and going. Don't look at what's behind you. You have to consider what's in front of you. These are all-time highs. So we have very few reference points to go by, right? So when you have a situation like this, one thing you can do is you can do something like where you go back and you measure, you do one of these measurements, right? You do a trend-based one of these, okay? And this gives you projections to consider. Look at these projections. We are at one right now. We are at the 1618 relative to this cycle. You can call this a cycle on the bottom here. This from this low to this high, projected from this low, the 108 low over here, right? See that? It's projected. Can I get like the square? All right. My mouse is just not cooperating. Oh, there it goes. All right. So this low over here, right, projected from that low, we are at the 1618 right now, right? And we rejected it yesterday, basically, and it came back up to it. So what does that tell us? This is a high risk location, okay? This is high risk for new longs. Now, what I'm going to say about this is a day trader environment, because the problem with something like this is at any moment the top can appear. Hey, Izzy, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. So that's the problem with buying this on the bigger picture, buying this as a swing trader, buying this even worse as an investor, because in my opinion, even as an investor, if you bought something here, and this is a point that I made in my article yesterday, even if it runs up, well, I mean, what are you going to do? Buy an entire Bitcoin here? Even if it runs up to 130 or in the 130s, what are you going to make? 5,000 points, right? Something like that. The risk pulling back is greater, in my opinion, right? Because this thing could easily pull back 10, 15, 20,000 points. And that's not even a big move. That's not even a big pullback, right? Well, I mean, shorts depends on the time frame. Of course, you guys know I'm not a big bear. I don't short these things. I don't short Bitcoin. You guys know that. Not on this time frame. But as a day trader, I would be open to it. I would certainly be open to it. So my point here is to navigate this. If you want to play this game, day trade, because that limits your risk at least on both sides, right? Because we are at a potential rejection zone. There's just no confirmation here. We don't have a bearish pin bar. We don't even break daily lows. We don't even touch them, right? This thing is just vertical. So, how much should you sell in a profitable trade? Oh, wow, 108. Well, I mean, how much you sell is going to be up to you. I mean, at this moment, there's no reason to sell besides a potential. All we have is a potential level. That's all we have, potential. Meaning this, like if you were looking to short, like if I was looking to short this, my eyes would be open now. Now I would be looking for confirmations, but there's nothing here. Is this thing going to go in a straight line, all the way up to the 130s? Anything can happen. It's possible. It can do it. Okay. It can do it. So it's very possible you may get like a little attempted pullback, like some sort of inside bar. Watch out for this. An inside bar, it's going to suck in a lot of shorts and then continue higher. That can happen. So if we get those little mini continuation patterns and we get away from this area, then it's not a failed breakout. Like if it's going to fail, it needs to fail like today, tomorrow. It needs to fail really soon if it's going to be a failed breakout. If it doesn't fail, then we're looking at a successful breakout. Okay? Oh, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I got to fix my mouse. Just give me a second. Sorry about that. All right. So if this thing doesn't fail in the next couple of days, then we may have a successful breakout. If we have that successful breakout, then this is wave 5. This is most likely wave 5, right? That wave 5 that we always talk about with Alex from Romania. This is most likely it. And which means we need to be able to count 5 waves in it. And I mean, if wave, this is possibly the bottom of wave 1 back here, right? Wave 1, we had the wave 2 pullback. This is typical wave 3. This is typically what wave 3s look like. Okay. Which means if that's the case, then we're looking for one more significant pullback, meaning it should be clear on the chart. So that could take us back to maybe 118, 120 area, something like that. That would be a significant pullback, in my opinion, in this magnitude. And then the next leg higher, which can then take us up to this 130 area, the low 130s. I suspect we can get up into this area. Also, we have a what do you call it? We have a projection up there as well at 136,578. Those numbers are not precise, by the way. They're just kind of like ballpark estimates. Okay. So yeah, I suspect. Remember when we had that wave 4, wave 1 overlap, and I was like, remember I was very kind of like, I don't know about this, right? Well, I was wrong. That's why I wasn't very assured about that. Like I wasn't like, oh yeah, this is. I was like, I mean, officially I had to make some type of call, but I was prepared to be wrong on that, like especially because I know those overlaps can be tricky, and it overlapped briefly, and since then it's never broken really below what 105. It went to like 107 something, right? And always found support there pretty quickly. So this is likely the wave 3 of the 5. So next pullback, I think will offer some sort of swing trade buying opportunity. And then you're looking for that leg to wave 5, right? That's the completion. And that completion, again, you're looking at potentially 135, possibly higher. I mean, I have the wave 5s here, right? I drew it over here. It's been on my chart for a long time, but it can possibly go higher, right? Wave 5s can run. So you can use a projection tool like that to kind of give you some sort of estimates of where you can anticipate the rejection or the completion, right? So as far as like what Christos was asking, where should he sell? Well, I really, percentage wise, if I were in a position from 108K, and I don't know, let's just assume I had a full Bitcoin. Let's just as an idea, there's no reason to sell here. There's no technical reason. So I would sell a smaller amount, like maybe 10 or 15%, just for the sake of locking in something at the high, right? Because who knows if it's going to go higher. It looks like it's poised to go higher, but it may go a little higher and then turn around, right? So I would take a small amount off the table until a confirmation appears, right? Like we almost had a confirmation yesterday. We had a pin bar developing. And when I wrote my article, that really looked like a pin bar. The open to the close was very narrow. Okay. So I thought for sure we were going to get the pin bar, but the market chose otherwise. So no pin bar. So I would sell more if I had a pin bar. Maybe, so if you blow like 10% now, you take 10% off now, something like that. Again, I can't give you advice, but I'm just giving you an idea. If the pin bar appears, that would prompt me to sell more. Maybe, I don't know, maybe another 20 or 30%, something like that, a little bit more of a portion of the position. And then the other thing to do is consider a trailing stop, right? Like 2 bars behind, right? Like once this candle closes, your trailing stop can go here. Keep in mind, a trailing stop is never going to get you out at the top. It's never going to get you out at the best price because the market has to pull back and you're always going to get stopped out into some kind of support area. Happens all the time. Okay. But the advantage of using a trailing stop is if the market just gets stupid like it is and just keeps running and running and running, your trailing stop keeps you in. Okay. So does that make sense? So that's Bitcoin. I mean, there's really not much else to say about it. Have your projections in place and watch the price action around these projections. That's the whole point, especially when you don't have historical price action to go by. All you have now are these projections, right? So that's what I'd say about that. That makes sense. Okay, hold on. I got to fix my mouse again. This thing's giving me a hard time. Just give me a minute. Sorry about that. I should have had that prepared earlier. I hadn't noticed. All right. Anyway, okay. So that's. Let me know if you guys have questions about Bitcoin. All right. Let me know if you have questions about that. There's really not much else to say about this. Right. So if you're flat and you're aggressive, I mean, I would if you're thinking shorts, because short is a possibility here. We are at a level that this thing can reverse, but I would work on very small time frames. You know, day trade is probably going to be your lowest risk activity in this, because there's going to be lots of opportunities, pullbacks, all kinds of opportunities to take small bites out of this thing as it works its way higher. Let me know if you have questions about that. So what levels are we watching the pullback? Okay, Savi. So the pullback, the first level is at 118, 118, 120. This line over here, this line is 121. But I would where I drew this illustration, right? This area right here, right? Because you have an old resistance which can act as a support, right? It's a minor resistance because it's inside the range, but it's a minor resistance, right? And you have the whole number like 120. You have that area right there. So I would be watching basically this area for the pullback, right? For a swing trade, possibly. Of course, you'd need a confirmation there, right? And that could possibly be your little wave, your wave four, and then you're looking for that one more leg to new highs at that point. That's what I'd be looking for at that point for a swing trade. Okay, makes sense. So good question. I think you had a question earlier too. Let me just go back a bit here. I'm just gonna go back. I see you guys putting stuff in the chat for charts. Good. I'm glad you guys have that. Okay. Because I'm going to get to you guys. All of you that put stuff in the chat here, I will get to your charts. So let me just go back to the chat here. I need some money to buy some land. Well, you're buying some land in Romania, but it was very hard to sell, even though I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know what? When things are going vertical like that, it is hard to sell. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so Savi, you had this question here earlier. The confirmation buy signal, or is it 123K support, old resistance now? Well, no. So I think I've answered those questions, right? Okay. Okay, no problem. I think just let me know if I answered your questions, but I think I answered your question, because I mean now we don't really have any historical resistance. We're just in a high potential zone where it can reverse. At this point, too, like, we looked at some of those projections, but when you don't have any of those things, when you don't have any nearby like that, you can also look at a whole number like 130K, right? That's a whole number. That would be a decent resistance to consider as well. And you can also use that as a potential profit objective, as to take some more off the table, right? If you're long. Now, I'm just curious. All right, so I'm going to start moving around the charts now, but I just want to jump around. Let me just take a quick look at something here, like something like Link, right? I mean, these things aren't doing anything spectacular, are they? I mean, how about something like what's another one? Like, are these things really doing anything? Like, of course, Bitcoin's moving, so they're all showing green. They're all up something, but I don't see them pushing all-time highs, right? This is Ethereum is like the closest one, right at that resistance. That's likely to break out. That's a higher low resistance. Anyway, all right, just wanted to jump around. I'm not going to analyze these charts. I just wanted to see what was going on here. All right, so let's jump over to like the S&P. I mean, this market's just been like just nonsense mode. All right, so we'll take a look at ES1, because this is the futures, because this gives us like overnight data as well. We don't get so many gaps in the charts. And this also what we see, what we observe here is also going to be relevant to the Nasdaq, as you guys know. Oh wait, hold on. I saw something earlier. Let me just scroll back on the Kai says here, I watched the Quant Guild video about comparing poker and it was amazing. Yeah, yeah. So I'm glad you like that guy. His name is Roman because he must be from Romania. I'm joking. I don't think he's from Romania, but he has an Italian name though. He has an Italian name. So yeah, it's a great video. He also made some other ones too. He made some. I love his videos where he talks about expected value and he talks about some of these other concepts. That's the whole idea behind his videos. You're learning these important concepts that you may not be able to implement them in your strategy right now, but it's certainly you should be aware of what quants learn. And I think that's one of the greatest values of a channel like his is you see firsthand what they learn. What theories are they exposed to? Because this is who ultimately you are competing with, right? So if they can model the variance on the Nasdaq on a 1 minute time frame, and they have an accurate model of how to navigate this market, they're going to beat you most likely, right? And you're like, variance, what's that? Like, so when there's something that I don't know, like there's a word he likes to use a lot. It's part of the Garch modeling, and it's heteroskedasticity. I can't even say the word properly. Heteroskedasticity, right? Anyway, he mentions that, he says that word a lot. I'm like, what the F does that mean? So I go to Gemini and I ask, what does that mean? And it lays it out. It's a very big and fancy word to basically say that the variance of returns changes over time. That's why when you do like a bell curve of a random variable, you can't use a fixed bell curve because in the markets that bell curve is constantly changing. It's changing its width. It's doing this, right? It's doing this over time. That's what heteroskedasticity, I can't say the word, but that's what it means. All right. It's a really big word. Maybe they could have found an easier word to say. Anyway, the point is, I learn a lot when I watch that guy. I have a hard time consuming some of that stuff because I am not a math guy. I'm not a quant. But man, I like that my head hurts after watching those videos because that means I'm learning, right? I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room because that means you can't grow. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. So that's why I like that guy. He's amazing, and I love his math, the stuff that he shows because I'm learning. I can't implement any of that stuff into what I do, but it's good to know. Just like when I spent 5 years with options, learning options, I was never confident enough to trade an options contract as I was learning. It took me years to get comfortable. Once I got comfortable, now it's like second nature, right? But for years, I was learning stuff that I could not use, right? Anyway, all right. Yeah. All right. So anyway, just wanted to mention that. Check Binance coin. Binance coin. Okay, hold on. All right, I'll get to that. Let me just complain about the S&P here for a couple of minutes. So I mean, we're up today almost a 0.5%, right? It's up 27 points. I mean, we're basically at the highs again. These markets don't pull back. Okay, this is the futures right here. These are the futures, right? So you could look at the SPY. It's going to look very similar. There's just more data here because it's the overnight stuff as well. Let's just look at a weekly chart, right? I mean, look at this. That's a weekly chart. Since the tariff drama in April, we've essentially been vertical, and it does not pull back. This is not, as you know, normal. So all I can say is, people that see their 401ks, they get all excited. They have a pants party. Hey, my 401k, I'm going to be rich, right? Until it pulls back, then they get depressed. But I mean, if you're not a long-term investor, there's really nothing to do here. Like you can't buy this. Like this is just as this thing climbs and climbs and climbs, you take greater risk. Now, as a day trader, it's another story. I deal with the Nasdaq. This no problem as a day trader. In fact, I make money on the short side, okay, because I'm looking for those mean reversion plays. But on the bigger picture, I mean, this is delayed because I don't have the real time data for the futures contract on this platform. But I'm just saying, you know, uh, right. Well, so we saw stuff like this with Turkey. I don't know if you guys remember the Turkish lira. I used to get questions about the Turkish lira because their Turkish lira was like literally vertical because their money was just becoming worthless, right? So that's the same type of effect here. This is inflation. And so what to do if you're not long, right? There's really you can't get long now, right? Because the higher this thing goes, the greater risk you take. But some people may be forced. They may feel forced. Oh, I'm losing money on my dollars. I better buy something. Okay, but now you're taking risk, right? Market risk. I mean, at this point, I'd rather be long dollars at this point. I mean, I know it's not a good idea, but what else? What am I going to do? Put those losing dollars into something else that has high potential to lose? So uh, that's all. I mean, we'll take a look at gold in a moment, but gold is up almost another 100 points, almost. It's ridiculous, but that's like inflation. I watched a guy on YouTube that was talking about the CPI report, and he was talking about how inaccurate it is and how basically because of its inaccuracy that was done purposely so that the government has leeway to basically manipulate and lie about stuff. And I mean, they're doing surveys. That's how they come up with the CPI. They're doing surveys. You would think today that there are much better ways to analyze inflation. Anyway, so we're much to the point is we're much greater than 3% inflation, but the official number says we're not. And everyone goes by the official number. Anyway, so besides that, there's nothing to say about this. There's nothing you can do here. If I were long stocks or something like that, I would certainly try to take some profits. But as far as buying into this, waiting for some type of pullback, your level, if we're going to go by levels, you're looking at this level and you're looking at this level, right? That's it. And this second line here, this higher line, that's a high risk level too, because there's hardly anything there, right? This is a weekly time frame. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about this. I spent many hours to find short ideas, to only find two short ideas with negative beta. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's when you say short idea, like how do you gauge that? Are you looking at like technical things or, you know, because just as far as setups, there's nothing. I just don't see anything. There's no double tops. There's no resistance. I mean, at this point, something like this, you'd have to do a projection here too, right? Because there's no these are all time highs, aren't they? Right? Yeah, these are all time highs. So you'd have to do a projection, and you can't. There's really nothing even to project off of. You have this maybe that. I mean, and look where we are projection wise. We're just blowing through projections. We do have one up here though. You see that? So that's the only reference point we can really go by, and that's what 67.30. Right now we're 30 points higher than that. Okay, so this would be a good area to be looking for a reversal, but there's nothing. We have no catalyst. Now, keep in mind, this, because we have that delay with non-farm payrolls, there is some potential here. There is potential for some surprises that can come out of nowhere. Like that non-farm payrolls report. What's the story? What is it? We don't know. Has it come out yet? I don't think so. Right? It was supposed to come out on Friday, but we have no government, or they were closed. So no non-farm payrolls. What surprises are hidden in that report? It may be a positive surprise. I don't know, but there is a potential for a surprise. All right? Does that make sense? Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to be going back and forth with my mouse here. Sorry. All right, so that's really, there's not much else I could say about the S&P. Now, to turn this thing around, I mean, we need a catalyst, and we have nothing. When we look back at April, our catalyst was the tariff drama. That was our catalyst, right? And that was pretty much it. We have nothing right now. So Kai says here, my macro buys, I do a bottom-up quantitative sector analysis. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So you're looking at like, okay. Okay. So you're looking sort of like a fundamental point of view, relative strength, relative weakness type of thing. Okay. I see. Right. So you're looking for that. You're looking for those catalysts too. There's just nothing. So for people that may be less experienced, when you just short just for the sake of going short, so yeah, the market's too high. I'm sure a lot of people thought that, on the way up here. And I mean, even institutional people think like that sometimes. Yeah. So when you have no catalyst, usually when the sell off is going to occur, there are usually signs before you get the major part of the sell off. Like when we had that tariff stuff, the tariff stuff occurred here. Okay. We were still selling previous to that. That was before the tariff stuff, before the announcements, right? All that tariff drama occurred here, right? It was the beginning of April, right? It was around here. This is really when it got really out of control, right here. So there was plenty of technical reasoning to be short before that. All right. And I remember at that time I was actually playing the long side. I was shorting puts before that tariff announcement. And I sort of got caught in that a little bit, but because I was small enough, I was able to get around that. But man, that was tough. Okay. Right. So let's all right. So that's the Nasdaq. I mean, that's the S&P, and the Nasdaq is going to be similar. I mean, look, we could just look at QQQ real quick. I mean, look at this. It's the same thing. It's the same chart. There's just no reason to short these things. Like if you're shorting this, you're just hoping for the best, right? Otherwise, it's just like, oh, you trade. Oh, I see. Okay. Right. So stocks are going to have. There's going to be more to a stock, especially fundamentally speaking. If you're looking for a bigger picture type of play, for sure, catalysts certainly play a role. All right, so let's jump over to everyone's favorite, gold. All right, actually, let's do oil. No, gold. We'll do gold first. XAU, USD. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Anyone that shorted this with that idea of it's too high, man. I mean, look at this. There's the weekly chart on gold. Look at that. Like that's berserk, man. Like you could have gone long on any daily or weekly breakout and made money for weeks. Look, you could have bought the weekly high every time, taking very little pain, and you'd be up money. That's wild, right? So that works until it stops working. That works, and then as soon as you do it, as soon as I buy the weekly high, then that's when the pullback is going to occur, right? That's why I don't do it. So the higher it goes, in my opinion, the harder it is to get involved on a swing trade or on a larger time frame. Small time frame, I mean, I haven't looked at gold on the 1 minute chart or the smaller time frames, but I would imagine it's a decent choice right now, on the smaller time frames. So you guys see that? I mean, there's not much I could say about gold except the pullback. If there's a pullback, look, at some point the market will cycle, and it will most likely, in my opinion, consolidate, as we've seen it do many, many times. Okay. So, and the extreme range, right? The extreme range low, if there's any type of consolidation, because at this point, I'm not really expecting any kind of significant pullback unless something fundamentally changes. Gold bros say this chart is just repricing what was suppressed forever, but I think this suggests a major shift in global economics. Right. Well, clearly something serious is going on. Maybe they're anticipating that Trump is going to revalue the gold. The gold on the U.S. balance sheet is like $42 and like 25 cents, something ridiculous like that. That's how prices gold on the Treasury's balance sheet. That's wild. Gold is at almost 4,000. Where are we right now? 38.84 on XAU, right? This thing's up 76 points today. On the Fed balance sheet, it's $42. So there's talk like if they revalue that and they say, okay, we're going to use the market price for gold, then the government's gold suddenly the government will be rich, right? I mean, because now they're going to go from $42 to $4,000, and I mean this was talk a while back. That's something that they can do to basically finance the deficit, to basically erase it. But I don't know. That's all talk. But maybe that's part of, I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know if it has anything to do with this rally. All we can do when we see things like this, we have to realize that there is a driver behind it, or many drivers, and we have to look at it from a perspective of risk. Okay, so hold on. Let me do my mouse again. All right, now, so with something like this, we have a resistance. We have an old resistance here. Is gold going to pull all the way back to this old consolidation? I don't know. Maybe that would be an extreme pullback, in my opinion, if we were to do something like that. And I don't believe it's going to just pop up here and pull back in a straight line. We would need a serious change. We would need a hawkish Fed. We would need someone to come out and say the dollar is going to be okay, everyone. You know, we're not going to print anymore. Like they'd have to be something serious like that. There's nothing. If everything that they're doing just pours more fuel on the fire, they've been doing that all along. So, and maybe they see that as a win. When I say they, I'm talking about the administration, because making the dollar cheaper apparently makes us more competitive in the world. But you know, like the Chinese strategy. But I don't know. I don't know. So here's what I suspect gold does: pulls back a little bit and consolidates, right? Like this, something like this, and that will be the next buying opportunity, I think, or at least swing trade opportunity. And as long as gold stays in this configuration, I mean, you can buy breakouts on this with some degree of confidence, right? I mean, buying these breakouts, yeah, it got a little tricky over here, but okay, so maybe you lose money a couple of times, but man, you should make that back in something like this. Also, again, just watch the daily highs and the weekly highs on gold. Let's go to the daily, right? I mean, look at the daily highs. Just look, these little mini pullbacks, breakout, 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 right? Just all positive breakouts. So this is a great example of when a breakout strategy makes sense until it stops making sense, until it starts breaking supports. But that just doesn't exist right now, right? Your first minor support on gold is here. What is that? 38.19. So 38.20 basically. That's your first, and we're at 39.58. That's a long way from here. That's your first support on this time frame. Okay. On a day trade time frame, it's going to be another story, but we're not looking at that here. But amazing. You know, if you're long gold, there's nothing to do but sit in this thing and wait for another sell signal. That's all you can do, right? And get out of some on that, or just trail your stop. I mean, if you were trailing your stop on something like this, 2 bars back, let's see, would you have gotten stopped out? Yeah, probably over here. Like 2 bars back, 2 bars back. Yeah, you probably would get, yeah, you would have gotten stopped out when this became 2 bars back over here. That would have been stopped out around there somewhere by doing it something like that. There are other ways to trail stops, but of course, you know, if you're using like a parabolic stop in reverse or something else, a moving average, you give back more money when it pulls back, you know? So there's always a trade-off. There's no perfect way to do this, but that's gold. There's really nothing to do here. You know, we could do the extension, right? What's the extension look like? I mean, are we at the 470. Look, we're almost at the we've almost run out of extensions for gold. Nikkei also interesting. I don't. That's. I mean, I know that the Hang Seng has been pretty much following the Nasdaq. I haven't looked at the Nikkei though. So that's your next reference point on gold, 47.64, based on this structure here. That I measured on the bottom there. And after that, there's only one more at 56.18, and then it runs out of projections. You have to put more projections in to to the tool. So that's it. That's all we have to go by. All right. So anyway, that's gold. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Now let's just oil. Let's take a now. It's funny. Actually, before I jump to oil, let's take a look at dollar. Right, dollar index. So we have all this wild stuff going on, right? Let's go to the weekly on the dollar index. Right? Check this out. So this is the weekly on the dollar index. The dollar should be, with gold doing that, Nasdaq doing that, S&P doing that, right? The dollar isn't exactly selling off here. Shouldn't the dollar be weaker? I mean, this is the dollar against a basket of currencies. So I guess the world must be doing even worse, I guess is what this is saying. BNB. Oh yeah, BNB. Okay. Yeah, let's take a look. I'll take a look at that. Thanks, Alex from Romania, for the reminder. If you guys put something in the chat and it looks like I ignore it, I may have not seen it. So just put it in the chat again, and then I'll see it. So thanks, Alex. I'm gonna take a look at that. But you see this dollar situation? It's weird, right? I would expect the dollar to be doing. First of all, the dollar should be negative, right? We're up for the week. Today's Monday. The dollar's up a little bit. What's going on here, right? It's just, again, this is a dollar against a basket of currencies. So that's strange. Let's take a look at the 10-year note. Okay, so I'd expect the dollar to be acting a little bit more like this. 10-year note. Well, actually, what's going on here? 10-year note is selling off, which means the rates are going up, right? I mean, looks like 10-year notes pulling back here. Let's look at the yield. 10 US 10 yield. So this is such a weird market, man. I mean, we're not doing anything major here, but the yield is going higher on the 10-year. This should be going the opposite way. Like, inflation means we're going the other way, right? Usually, that's what it means. Historically, we should be seeing red over here, right? But we're seeing green. This means yields are rising on the 10-year note. So that means, I mean, again, it's not by much. It's not like it's breaking out or doing anything spectacular here. But the thing is, we have gold going to the moon. We have Bitcoin going to the moon. We have the S&P and Nasdaq. Everything is going to the moon. This should not be going to the moon. So this is certainly not in line with everything else. Now remember, the 10-year note trades on its own. The Fed doesn't really have much of an effect. Their interest rate tool doesn't really work with the 10-year note. It only works with the short-term maturities, right? Like 2-year and all that kind of stuff. So this is unusual and should be noted. If this thing, the yields, if our dollar is going to zero, then these yields should also be selling off. We should be breaking supports, not producing higher lows. So the market may be overreacting, right? And we may be basically setting up for something, a more significant pullback. UTXO says, the whole world is getting out of treasuries because they realize what's happening, but what are they going to buy instead? That's a good question. I guess gold. All those crunches are even worse. Right. That's what I'm suspecting. If we're bad and everyone depends on us, everyone else is worse. So that's a very unusual situation. And so if yields continue to rise and we have rising rates while the Fed is trying to cut, I don't know. Something just tells me we're going to have problems. Like that's just, the market's just not going to continue on this straight line. That's why I'm just I have no confidence in the market at all for any type of investing. Like I just don't have it. When I see stuff like this, like I don't understand fully what's going on here. I stay the F out when it comes to bigger picture stuff, you know? So yeah. So anyway, just keep an eye on this chart. If rates start to get out of hand, right? And we start seeing, like, let's go to the weekly chart, right? No, I want a weekly chart. There we go. If rates start to break out, because again, we're not really doing anything spectacular, but if we start breaking resistance levels, and we start pushing higher, that's going to put bearish pressure on things, in my opinion, right? If we start to see yields get up in here, that's red flag area. Would you guys agree? Right. This is a collapse of the debt markets. Right. Well, so that may help explain gold and why gold is just going in a straight line. Transformation of the West into banana. Yeah. It's going to be like Havana. The US is going to turn into like Havana. Havana's depressing, man. I watch videos about that stuff. I want to cry. Like, it's depressing. So anyway, so you guys agree? Like, if this thing, because again, I'm not an economist. If this thing starts to push, right? These are the yields now. We're looking at the yields. If these yields start getting out of hand, right, and we start breaking resistances, that's going to put pressure. Those rising rate, that means the cost of money is going to go higher. People are not going to be able to borrow money, right? Businesses aren't going to be able to borrow money. It's going to cost a lot more. What do you guys think of that? Let me know in the chat. My stupid mouse, man. I'm sorry, guys. All right, let's take a look at oil. So we're going to look at oil here real quick, and then I'm going to get to your charts, guys. All the stuff that you put in the chat, I'm going to get to all that. All right, I'm going to go through them quickly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in oil, but you would think oil, with all this, oil should be rallying too, I would think, but it's not. Right? Look at this. Interesting, right? The Fed is going to have to manipulate long-term. How are they going to do that? How are they going to manipulate long-term rates? I mean, they're going to have to print enough money to affect the 10-year note. Is that how they do it? I don't know. Is if the 10-year yields go up, it means that the market expects inflation and eventually higher rates by Fed. It certainly doesn't. Right. Well, usually rising rates are usually put in place, like when the Fed raises rates, for example, it's to control inflation, it's to increase the cost of money, so that it takes, essentially, it's the opposite of money printing, right? It takes money out of the system. But if we have money, so the other thing with the yields, this is oil, by the way. The other thing with yields is when investors demand a higher yield, it's because they have no confidence that the U.S. government's going to be able to pay back the treasuries, right? So when you lend the government money, you're like, I don't know, I don't trust you. I want a higher rate. And that could be another thing. So that's our economic system collapsing. But if things get out of hand, what happens if yields get out of control? That should put negative pressure on things. Yeah, and I would imagine, so if the cost of borrowing, because a 10-year note is pegged to like all the major types of loans, home loans, auto loans, all that stuff, right? So if all those loans, those interest rates skyrocket, they go to the moon, no one can get any, no one can borrow money. So if no one can borrow money, then we have a problem, right? Then money stops flowing. So I don't know. I think we're setting up for trouble here. That's why I'm saying everyone's having a party in their pants about their 401k, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we're setting up for trouble. So now here's crude oil again. Crude oil should be rallying, right, with things like gold, and it's not. This seems to be more in line with like what the dollar is doing. I don't know. Now, of course, like I understand oil is affected by other things, but so from a technical perspective, back to the weekly chart on oil, like this is a tough call. I would be thinking, well, I'd be looking for longs here because it looks like it's trying to produce a higher low, cheering higher stock prices, but this will only mean trouble. Right. Like that's the thing. Short term, it looks great, but I don't know, man. And when you're like in a 401k, what can you do? You can't really, most people, you don't have control over your 401k, not really, right? Usually it's like your money goes into some kind of funds or whatever, and that's that. So when that melts away, I don't know, man. I don't know. So I've never been a big fan of that to begin with, but when you have these situations where it becomes very vulnerable like that, I don't know. So with oil, like just chart setup wise, I would be interested in longs here as a swing trade, as a day trade. Do you guys see that with oil? I don't trade oil, but that's if I saw a chart like this, I see a higher low and I see a market that's very reluctant to sell off. It's not exactly pushing lows, right? It's struggling to push lows here. I mean, look at this triple bottom. We have this bottom situation where it broke, but it doesn't really follow through. And we're seeing green, like we're seeing a green candle, right? We shouldn't see this after a break. This is typically a sign of a fake out, right? Something like that. See that? Just like when it breaks the high, okay, and then delivers a pin bar. You see that? This is what I suspect Bitcoin is up to. That's what I thought we were going to see yesterday, but Bitcoin said, nope, I'm going to make you look bad. It's not hard to make me look bad, but still, you know what I'm saying? It looks like yields are in a massive sideways, right, which they are, and stocks have run during that consolidation, and this consolidation can go for, right. So yield, yeah, I mean, clearly yields are in a consolidation. It's the question is what happens if they break out? There's no sign of breakout. It's just strange how we look at the dollar tells us one story, 10-year yields tell us another story. Things like oil tell us another story. Like they're not really aligning. Usually there's more alignment. Gold is telling us another story. So it's just it's an unusual situation. And when these unusual situations get out of hand, it's usually not a positive thing, right? That's all I'm saying. It's a warning. It's a warning sign. It doesn't mean it's going to turn around and do something negative tomorrow, but generally I take it as a warning sign, right? When things are really out of hand like that, you know? So, and that's where also technical analysis can at least help us measure risk to a degree, right? So we see, like, for example, we looked at gold, we looked at Bitcoin, right? They're pushing their highs. Is this a place that we really want to buy for bigger picture? No, it's high risk. So a chart can at least show you that, right? And a chart can also tell you, okay, well, where should I buy if it pulls back? And then you have those levels so you can prepare. That's where at least technical analysis has some value, But when it comes to looking at economic stuff and considering the bigger picture, it is important to be aware of some economic fundamentals, and how things are shifting. What is happening with the dollar? Are we going to lose our status as the world reserve currency? It looks like we're going that way, but people keep talking about it. It never seems to happen. But I don't know. Looks like that's the goal here. We want to lose our status. So the USD is losing value in the economy, right? And that's, I think it's just a matter of time before it catches up. UTXO. That's why I am so cautious. I'm not bullish, man. I'm cautious. I see the bullish arguments technically. I understand you want to buy stuff for the day. Cool, man. No problem. But bigger picture, I have zero confidence. And I've been saying that for a while. And you can say, oh, if I follow you, I never make any money. Right. But you also won't lose a whole lot either. Because when this thing turns, man, I don't think it's going to be pleasant. I think it's going to be something like we saw in April. In April, by the way, that tariff nonsense was nothing. Like that tariff nonsense was just a little drama. It wasn't even anything significant. Right? So imagine when we have something significant. So anyway, I remember when that tariff stuff was happening, all the renowned economists and all the experts were saying this is just the beginning. These markets are going to lose 50%, blah, blah, blah. And we got the opposite. So I'm not the only one that's always wrong. All right. So let's now, I'm going to start jumping around to your chart requests here. Okay. So I'm going to go back. I saw Alex had a plug. So he was thinking long plug. So let's start with that one. All right. I'm also neutral actually, which is why I want to have shorts in place. Right. And options are a good way to do that too. Options. Okay, hold on a second. I got to fix my mouse again. But options are a nice way to start positioning on the short side without taking big risks or losing a whole bunch of money in the process. If you understand, you could buy out of the money puts, or you could start doing vertical spreads. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do. With options, though, you need time. Like you can't do this with 1 week out. You're going to need months of time. So anyway, all right. Let's start with plug. Alex request. Oh, look at that plug. And he's thinking. Alex was thinking. What I think he said long. Let me go back. What did he say? Where is he over here? Long, $3 to $3.10. Okay, we're at 416 right now. So he's thinking long. So he's thinking pullback. So he's looking at that. This is what Alex is looking at. I mean, nice push on this thing. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Wow, that thing is a nice vertical move there. So we want to look at the wave count. 1, 2. Look how clear that is. This is a very clear 3, right? So you're looking for the wave 4. That's a nice wave 4 choice. I like options for the possibility of fixed risk. Oh yeah, right. Options are the best for that. For basically, you can take positions and not have to worry about getting stopped out of ridiculous noise, right? Whether you're selling premium or even buying premium, options give you big advantages when it comes to that. So I think positioning for a bigger picture move, I think options give you a much better flexibility and much better risk control. So you're looking for a wave 4 pullback on this plug. You have resistance levels all over the place here. Look at this. You have something over here. You have something over here. You have something. Those are your resistance levels on this thing. I mean, this thing's vertical. What's the news on this? Man, vertical, man. So, yeah, you can't touch this now. Also, you have this. Is that a gap? No, there's a tail in there. This is the weekly. Let's go back to the daily. Right. So you got that bullish. I mean, you got that bearish pin bar developing. As you guys know, just because the pin bar is there doesn't guarantee anything, as you saw with Bitcoin. But if it breaks the low, then maybe you have your wave 4 pullback, right? So that 310, 320 area, Alex, makes sense. I like that. I certainly like that. Let us know if you take that trade, if that trade develops. But that looks like a nice wave 4 pullback type of situation for one more leg higher. All right, that's plug. Let's so a bunch of other ones. So I'm going to try to get through these quickly. Let's see. Okay. Just going to go through these real quick. Euro, short euro from Luthando. All right, Luthando, I hope you're still there. Let's take a look. He's thinking short euro. All right. Short euro. So this is the weekly on the euro. Now, the euro, keep in mind, President Lagarde, your ECB president there, she's speaking a lot this week. She's speaking like the whole week practically. Just something to keep in mind. It can affect the euro. So this is the weekly chart. You're thinking short. Okay, let's see. I mean, you have that resistance. Okay, let's look back a bit here. Yeah, that resistance is somewhat relevant. Looking back at this old support. Look at this back here. Okay. Euro franc looks better for a short. Okay. Is that the one you mentioned earlier? Kai, I will take a look at euro franc, but okay, so euro dollar, the idea makes sense. You have a is this a weekly pin bar? You broke below. The problem is it's just frozen right now. It's not moving, right? I mean, look at this. You're in this tight consolidation. That's the problem when you short and then you get a consolidation, right? Understand something about a short. When something is weak, like look at this pin bar over here. You see that pin bar? And you see how it gives it back pretty quick? Excuse me. Look at this. Look at this double top over here, right? Look at this pin bar over here. Look at this pattern. It's like a piercing pattern over here. Look how quickly the market like reverses, right? You shouldn't see a consolidation after a pin bar. So that's concerning, right? So if you're looking for the short, I would be careful. You might be better off in this situation waiting for it to retest the high and giving you a double top before shorting because or you're looking for a break of support and maybe some sort of retest. I don't know, it's tricky. I find that when I short these type of situations, I get stopped out. When it consolidates, a short should perform right away, relatively quickly. Now, again, we're looking at weeks here. This is consolidating for weeks, right? As opposed to all these other instances where it's like the next week it sells off. So just something to keep in mind. Hold on a second. All right, hold on a second. Man, this thing, man. All right. Does that make sense on this euro short? Like that's what I don't. Let's take a look at euro franc. CHF. So Kai says euro franc looks better. So let's see. So that euro dollar had that consolidation. So I see what you're saying here, Kai. Euro franc looks like it's going to break this. I mean, that looks like a lower high consolidation looking to break, right? I mean, look at that. Yeah. So I mean, well, yeah, euro franc. I mean, look at this resistance and look how it rejected that resistance, right? So now this would be a short breakout choice. You'd be looking for the support break, which is likely because this thing has been consolidating, producing lower highs. Theoretically, it should produce a lower low, right? So that's the thing. This is certainly much weaker, right, than the euro dollar because this thing just keeps producing lower highs, right? So that might be you get the breakout. Again, this is weekly. I mean, if we look at the daily, you get that break, that support break. That might be somewhat of a payoff there. Just have to be careful because if you get that fake out, you have to be prepared to adjust and get out. I see these situations all the time, especially on smaller time frames. And man, when things are very like sluggish and reluctant, it sucks, and you have to get out. Otherwise, you get caught in something, and then you lose a lot more than you should. Okay, so that's you. Does that make sense for euro dollar? So you maybe have another choice there. Maybe dollar euro franc might be a good choice for a short idea. All right, so I'm going back here. Let me just see what other you guys. If I miss your symbol in the chat, just re-put it in the chat. Okay. Yeah, UTX. So Bitcoin's notorious for being up 20%. Right. It does things like that. Um, Zek. All right. Oh yeah, and BNB. You guys put it in the chat like 10 million times. Let's take a look at Binance Coin. What's the story with Binance Coin? Oh yeah, wow, it looks very similar to Bitcoin. Look at that. Man, someone's getting rich. It's not me. Look at that. That, what's his name? CZ. Now that he's out of jail, he's enjoying his money. Freaking guy's worth like $1 trillion. What's going on here? Wow. This thing is at $1,200. Oh, man. Anyone in this besides CZ? This is nuts. Euro franc short idea is supported, in my opinion, by fundamentals because euro is devaluing and franc. That makes sense. So, I mean, franc is the Swiss franc is, you could say, is like a proxy for gold, right? So that makes sense. I am not very knowledgeable about this, but someone told me BNB is doing so well because they have some unique mechanisms that make BNB deflationary. Huh. Yeah, I mean, this is wild, man. This is wild. Like, I mean, this looks like gold. This looks like Bitcoin. And in these type of vertical charts, there's not much you can do here. Like, it sucks that this is after the fact that we have to see this. But the only way to go about dealing with this, I mean, look at the breakout. It looks very similar to gold, right? This is a weekly time frame. So when you're dealing with something this strong and there's just no inclination of a pullback, you get these brief, like a single red candle followed by green, more green, and more green. You know, something like this. I mean, clearly it's strong. So you play the strong side on small time frames until it's no longer strong, right? I think that would be the best choice in a situation like this because you can buy daily breakouts, you know, the daily high breakouts. You could look on smaller time frames and look for bullish patterns on there. Look for small pullbacks, right? And you can feel confident on the long side until this thing proves otherwise. That's all you can really do at such levels. You're not going to short this, right? These things are high risk on the short side because they're stupid, but they can get stupider, right? So for this thing to really start turning around, you need to see support breaks, and the support break needs to be followed through. Like you had a support break back here, a minor one, but no follow through. It went a little bit lower and then reverse in everyone's face. So that's why, like, I wouldn't be in a hurry to short these things. If you're going to short something like this, at least wait for a double top or something, or a pin bar, something. Has her third vote for firing. Oh, what do you mean? Has her third vote for firing? I don't know what that means. But they're looking to fire. They should fire her. She's been president for the ECB for what, 20 years? She's been in there since what, Bernanke? What's wrong with her? What does she think she is? What does she think she is? A king? A queen? What's wrong with her? She looks like a king. Anyway, I don't know what that means, Alex. Like, are they trying to fire her? Oh yeah, I know. Wasn't she like caught for doing some kind of financial crime or something? And that's your ECB president? Man, at least Powell isn't a criminal. They tried to put him in jail for renovating the Federal Reserve, but that's nothing compared to her. Oh yeah, I don't know like what her I don't know what her crime was there. Powell almost joined her. So yeah, there's something up. The World Economic Forum must be backing her or something. Your friend from the World Economic Forum, they look the same. You know, these European people. Can't trust them. Anyway, goes on there in Belgium all day. Who better to lead the central bank than a criminal convicted financial? Right. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, anyway, so this is BNB. Very impressive chart. But like, so you guys get where I'm coming from with that? There's not much you could do, but try to work with that on small time frames if you're into that. All right. So let me just, there was a couple other ones. Let me see if I can get through these real quick. We got Euro Franc. Let's see. Oh, there was ZEC, ZEC. I think UTXO is asking about over here. Let me see here. Was it Z? I think it was Z. If you put a symbol and I haven't mentioned it, put it again. Who better? All right, so let's say ZEC. I mean, man. Oh yeah, look at that. What is this all about? UTXO. This is the weekly. Someone got rich on this one too. $158. What was this thing just a few weeks ago? $37. Wow, man. $34. What is this? What is this all about? I don't follow these things. Is this like another gold alternative? Is this the one from Romania? It's a privacy coin that has connections to politicians. Oh, Pelosi coin. Okay. Pelosi probably owns this one. Man, look at this. I know. I mean, I remember Alex. Who used to talk, there was one that he would always talk about from Romania. I don't know if it was Alex. There was someone from Romania that was always telling me about a coin. Maybe it was eGold. eGold. I think that was the one. Was that you, Alex, with eGold? There always used to be this guy, eGold, from Romania. And he used to say, eGold is going to be a thing. I think it was that one. Wow. But I mean, the market caps may be small, but man, these price moves from, wow. Now this thing got its act together. I mean, this is like lottery ticket type of stuff. I mean, for years, this thing spent years doing nothing. I mean, look, you could have got this thing around $23. Okay. And now it's at 158. Like that's kind of wild. This thing's all-time high, it looks like, is 386. But a vertical move like this, that's typically a change, right? So in situations like this, if it pulls back, this is tough because sometimes what causes like the vertical move, like it goes vertical for a while and it's tricky. You know, whenever you buy this thing, chances are you're buying the top before the breakout, but it seems to be, yeah, right, lottery ticket. Right. Now, maybe there was some inside information. That's the only way you're going to win on something like this. You're not going to catch this breakout because when it starts to break out, you're going to be like, oh, I'm buying the top. That's what I would think. And then vertical, right? So, oh, nice. Nice, Alex. And come you never told us about that one? Wow. Almost $1,000. This thing was almost $1,000. I must be looking at the wrong chart here. This is let's go to the weekly chart. Maybe it's not on this chart. Maybe it was almost $1,000 on another exchange. This is on Coinbase. Man. But yeah, like so something like this. This is where you need inside information, really. Like that's the only way you're gonna get this kind of move. You know, like people that are on the inside and they know some news is on its way out on the horizon. That's how you. Otherwise, you have to buy like 20 of these stupid coins and hope that one of these breaks out, and you're going to lose on 18 of them, and maybe 2 of them do something like this. Maybe that's all you could do with something like this, right? And technically, when they go vertical like this, technical analysis also goes out the window. You can't really do anything. It got delisted from its original. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, it's good to see on the radar. I mean, maybe this thing pulls back 50% or something. Who knows? It's good to watch. But after a move like this, it's like, well, what was the news? What drove this thing? Because this is really going to be dependent. All these altcoins are basically dependent on the same type of thing. Oh, okay. I could check that one. Let's see. Z. That's wild, man. It's really wild. Let's look back. Maybe they do. Let's take a look at the weekly. Oh, yeah, I think you're right. UTXO. Oh, man. Look at this. Oh, man. Wow. Look at this. This is the all-time high. What? No, that can't be right. 29,000? That's wrong. But it was certainly all right. We know it was higher. That's for sure. Okay, that's a bad tick. There's no way it was 29,000. And this was the 300. Oh no, you're right here. Here it is. UTXO. This is it right here. That's it right there. Wow. Amazing. So, if someone was in on this recently, right? Because again, this thing was at 9 something and it went to $23. So I confused her with Ursula. Oh, is that another? Who's that? I don't even know who that is. On that note, XMR is also no, XMR too. XMR. Let's see. I mean, it looks like it's how much is this thing now? $314. Okay. So I mean, these look at these. These are like for the longest time they were doing nothing. XMR has been having problems. Ah. Oh, interesting. Okay. Those Belarusian guys. Could never trust them. So anyway, all right. I think we covered quite a few charts here today. I talk too much. You guys have any other? Have I missed any questions here? Hold on. Users started realizing that even deeper aren't that much of a problem for everyday usage. Okay. I don't know. It's still a pretty decent price considering all that drama. And it's come back a bit. Interesting. Yeah, so we covered a few things here, you guys. So, any questions about anything else? You find this stream useful? Back to Bitcoin. I mean, considering, with this Bitcoin run and some of these other runs, I mean, it is very interesting to see. But to catch, again, some of those things like Binance Coin or some of those other ones like Zcash, I mean, really, you pretty much have to know something. You have to pull a Pelosi. Try saying that 100 times fast. Pull a Pelosi. Because that's who wins in those type of situations, not the retail, right? This is truly a game of information, right? And when you don't have information, when you have incomplete information, you have to do this, mess around with charts all day, and find other ways to do it. USDT, what is that? Oh, is that dominance? Is that Tether? Oh, market cap. Tether? Then a Lagarde. Ah, she's that bad, huh? She looks like trouble, that Lagarde. She just looks like bad news. Tether dominance. Ah. I've never looked at this chart before. Here's a weekly. So, I mean, it looks like Tether dominance has been on a decline. But what does that tell us? I mean, the markets are rallying. Bitcoin's on new highs. So I guess people are dumping their Tether and buying Bitcoin with it. Tether's coming off the sidelines. Is that how you interpret that? I've never looked at this before. Ah, okay. So that makes sense then, right? Tether declining, then that money is obviously going somewhere, right? Into the coins. So it looks like it's going back to a support area, right? It's been here before. So it's not like it's the first time. It looks bearish. We have a lower high. Theoretically, it should make the lower low. If it makes that lower low, that would make a good argument for Bitcoin making its run for wave 5. This looks like, right. That's what it looks. I agree, Kai. So that can certainly bolster Bitcoin and push these things. Watch something like Ethereum. Ethereum hasn't even broken out yet, right? So that you see something like this break, that might be the catalyst. At least that'll be a good sign. So thanks for pointing that one out, Kai. All right. Any other questions? Maybe Dogecoin. All right, Doge real quick. I mean, hold on, Savi. She's the parliament president. What parliament? Parliament of what? Okay, here's Doge. So levels on Doge. This is the weekly chart. So not much has changed here, Savi. Not much has changed. I mean, you got your support right here, right now, right? This is your support and this is your resistance on this thing right now. So you're kind of in between 22.5 cents around there. You could even round that to probably 20 cents and then 30 cents, right? And you have a higher low. And it looks like, I mean, after looking at all these other coins and stuff, I mean, with all this bullishness, the breakout is likely, right? I mean, Bitcoin looking like this, I mean, I think your breakout on that thing is likely. Oh, it's breaking out now? Okay. It's not that the parliament, it's not the parliament, it's the council of the EU. Unelected bureaucrats. Oh, man, I'm telling you that those EU people, man, they invented communism. Oh, okay. She's like your quintessential paper pusher. I confused Lagarde. Okay. Interesting. I don't know much about EU politics, except that they're very complicated and they get nothing done. It's just a lot of paper pushing. At least we get things done here in this country. Like when we want to devalue the dollar, we get it done, man. When we want to lose our reserve status, we do it. We get it done. Unlike the EU, they just push paper all day. All right. They go push paper and then they go skiing. They take 3 months off for their holiday. That's what they do over there. All my EU friends. Oh, I'm going away for 3 months. Like what? How do you do that? So anyway, yeah. All right, you guys. So Savi, I think I answered your question, right? Guys, thanks for sticking around for the whole stream. What do you make of ZN1? All right, so I talked about and Russell. Well, so the ZN1, I mean, we talked about that earlier. It's not, I mean, it's going lower, but not dramatically. We looked at the yield. The yield is frozen, right? So, I mean, the thing is, if the yield is really not going anywhere, something like the Russell 2000, which is, the small caps, they're going to do well in this, right? I think we'll see the change when that yield breaks, right? When the yield does something special. Telling you, we get things done here, man. We get things done here. All right. So I hope that answers your question. I got to wrap this up because otherwise you guys have me talking all the time. I appreciate you guys ask questions because at least I feel like someone pays attention to what I talk about. All right, hold on, you guys. This mouse has been a real pain. All right. So guys, again, Thank you for your sticking around, asking questions. I think it was a great session. I hope you got something out of it. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you're in the world. And thank you so much for watching.